All right, we are on the air now. Thank you guys for joining us here at another live stream. Today I've got Drake from Drake Valley Outdoors and Clayton from GT Outdoors. If you want to check out their channels, I put links to their pages in the description. They've got a lot of great content over there. And, you know, I've just been kind of itching to talk about duck hunting with some people not named Fumblements and Dan and Aiden. So I got these two guys on here, and we're just going to go through some things I kind of wanted to talk about. And when we're done with that, please feel free to post comments, and I'll make sure to answer your question. If you do donate with a super chat, I will answer your question immediately and on the spot. So let's start with summer projects. I know both of you said you've been kind of inactive. So have you been doing any summer projects at all? And if not, what summer projects have you been neglecting? We'll start with Clayton.
My dog. That's the only thing I've been working on is him, pretty much.
Yeah, and actually that's the next on the agenda. I want to ask you some very specific questions about your dog, and I want to talk about Izzy a little bit as she gets ready to turn 10. So I definitely want to get more into that. Because I know you've been doing a lot of stuff with it. What about you, Drake?
I've been working on kind of some small projects here and there, mainly trying to figure out things for filming, different camera setups, like I've talked about. I think we talked about on the last live stream, like some kind of pole to hook the GoPro up on, things like that. And I just got something in today. It's actually like the long Mojo pole. And I'm going to try, I was going to try that. I think it's going to go back to the store though. It's made by Banded. And I thought that it extended easier than it does, but it's more of like a normal Mojo pole where you push the button in and clip everything together. And it's in like 3 pieces. And you're supposed to be able to go from like 5 foot to 11 foot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's an auger on the bottom. But whenever I put it into the ground, it was kind of flimsy. And then the button thing was just absolutely horrible, and it wouldn't slide together very good. So I think I'm going back to the drawing board on that one. I did get an idea from a guy online, and he's using a, what is it? Well, he's not using it, but he gave me the idea to use those umbrellas, like the big umbrellas, like a beach umbrella. They make like augers or stakes that you can tighten down onto the actual umbrella. So then I was going to try and get like one of those extending push poles. It's like $35, but I can get one cheaper than that. Getting one of those and seeing if that works. But other than that, just rigging decoys, getting stuff ready, trying to get things organized because everything's just in a big pile in the room. I planned on organizing it right after the season, and it kind of just sat there all year. So
I know it's hard. I've got my garage totally organized because I've got a garage where I don't bring my truck in, and then I've got a section that's where my layout boats go and blinds and stuff. And then I've got a room that's kind of like a handyman room where all my small fine items go, and my garage is all organized. But the other room is a total shambles. One of the way I organized the garage was just to dump everything in that room, so it's just like piled of stuff. But I'm sure I'll do that soon.
That's usually my organizing.
What's that?
I said that's my organizing. Is it's like, all right, I like my desk to be organized, so everything goes from my desk into a pile somewhere else, just so that my desk at least looks organized.
At least makes you feel better that way, right?
Yep.
I will organize it real soon. I will, because I like being ready for that first teal hunt. That's going to start bugging me if I'm not fully organized. So we were talking about poles for GoPro poles, and I know I sent you that picture of that extendable paint pole, that aluminum one, and I had a chance to use that on the Can-Dan Do It, Can-Dan Float the Mow, and I was really, really pleased with how it performed. I just got it's about a $15 extendable paint pole, and then I've got a GoPro clamp to clamp on it, and then just fashioned it to that, and it worked really, really well. I still think I'm going to need to make some kind of PVC stake at the bottom, because soil it'll go in it, but anything hard at all, it's not going stick into the ground. But my guess is I'll probably have to go through 2 or 3 of those throughout the course of the year, just because they're not put together that solidly. But it worked really, really well. I'm really happy with how it functioned. Really. Yeah,
I'll have to look at that. I think that kind of the push-pull that I'm using would be somewhat similar. I'm not sure. Does that one like screw? Do you unscrew?
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a screw, but you twist it and it comes out.
Yeah.
And you re-screw it to tighten it.
Yeah. See, I had the same guy that.
I can tell it's gonna be, because if you trying to jam it into the ground, I can tell that function on it's probably gonna give way here after.
Yeah, I had the same guy that suggested using that umbrella pole thing, or umbrella stake. He suggested like one of those long golf ball retrievers, but I kind of felt like it would be a little bit flimsy and easy to break. So that's why I'm going to try the push pull. I think it'll fit perfectly inside one of those umbrella stakes, and then you could just like stake it down into the ground. I'm not as worried about like on the hard ground. I'm more worried about like, I know that I could just push the push pull straight into the ground if we're in like a marsh or something, but I don't want it to get packed with mud. So I kind of wanted some kind of umbrella stake that would like go around it to help keep some of the mud out. So
well, keep me posted on your progress with that, because if your idea ends up being better than mine, I'll switch over in a heartbeat. I didn't spend that much money.
Yeah, I'll try and do that soon. I'd probably take that other pole back. I'm debating on whether I want to keep that pole. I don't really see a reason to have a 11, 12 foot tall Mojo pole other than for a camera. I see guys using them at the marsh all the time, but I don't know. Maybe that's another thing we could talk about is that. But so I'm debating whether I want to take that back, because it was like $25. So I might take that back and then go get one of those poles. And I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll try and do that soon, because I can probably get you one of those poles fairly cheap.
Yeah,
the push poles.
We are also switching over our layout boats. So Dan got the Aquapod. Fumbles and myself got I can't remember the name of it, a Bass Pro kayak, and then we got blinds that go on top of those kayaks. So I'm in the process of brushing that blind. I was working on that today, and then we're fashioning doors, or a hood actually, for the dog on the back. So that's a major summer project for us. I know that I'll get mine done, and my dad will probably get his done, but I hope Dan keeps progress with his and gets his brushed. We'll see.
Yeah, I have a bunch of raffia that I won't. I planned on doing some stuff with layout blinds, and I never ended up doing anything with them for last year. I need to do something with it.
You want to sell them? You want to sell that raffia?
I might.
I haven't been able to find it. I used to buy it on either Cabela's or Rogers, and I can't find it on either of them. I really struggled. So I ended up just deconstructing my grass mats from last year that we used, and we rolled them up, and I'm using those, but they're real brittle. So if you don't want it and you do want to sell it, I would certainly. Dan needs some. I need some. So.
Yeah, I'll let you know. The stuff I have is not dyed. It would probably still work fine. But I got it from Jay Stern, who basically supplies Cabela's and all those other places, supplies them with the raffia, and you can just buy it directly from them. You have to buy it in like a 25-pound box of it, so it's like $90 or something. But whenever you look at the price per whatever, it's way, way cheaper. Like Cabela's, I think, is like $30 for enough to do like one blind. I think this whole thing would do like 10 or 15 blinds. There's a ton of it. So right. I can definitely hook you up with some of it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk more about that after. And MS Fishing said a Send kayak. Yeah, that's thank you for telling me what kind of kayak I have. Yes, that's what it is. I'm really excited about these kayaks we bought. They're only about $700, and they've got lots of storage room. They've got a $200 blind with doors that go on top of it. I'm really, really pumped up about those kayaks. I'm really thrilled about them. Let's switch over to dogs now, because I know, Clayton, your dog is how old right now?
He'll be a year halfway through August.
Okay, so he's going to be ready to go. So, I mean, both my dogs were hunting by now. How do you feel like? Can you just go us through the progress? not maybe too many of the specifics within the training, but how do you feel like your dog's doing? What are you working on now, and what weaknesses do you think that maybe your dog has as a retriever so far?
Pretty much what we're working on now is I'm trying to get him to go, like get multiple birds out in the water, multiple decoys, or we're like working. I think they call it like a line drill or whatever, like where you step the decoys out to a pile to teach him how to go to that pile or whatever. And he struggles with that. He gets bored after like 3 or 4 retrieves, and then if the pile's too far back, then he stops going back there. But so I switched up from, I had the orange decoys out, or the dummies out there, so he couldn't see them. I switched up to white ones, and he's got one of those like Dawkins ducks or whatever, those big duck things, and he loves that thing, so I'll throw that out there at the end so he can kind of see it and get excited about it. But that's pretty much all we've been working on, really.
And it's a boy. It's a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Boy, he's doing pretty good with steady.
Yeah, for the most part. I had him go after there's a guy by my pond that has pet ducks. They were on the pond, and I was out there fishing with him, and he decided he really wanted those ducks. And he almost got them because they can't fly, so they're just kind of running across the water, and he was right there with them. You better stop him and get sued for killing some guy's pet duck. But yeah, he does pretty good with the steady. If he's sitting there with me, I gotta tell him to stay, but he'll see it go out, and he'll stay right there until I send him.
And there, I see Matt Johnson's wanting to know how we feel about shock collars, and I'll go first on that one. I'm not against shock collars. I don't have the money for them. And Izzy is easy enough. I've never had one, never had to use one. I know that my dad has had really high energy dogs, and he has needed to use shock collars some. So I'm personally not against them, but I don't want to have to mess with them or use them. How about you, Clayton? Are you using shock collars at all?
No, and I'm not against them either. And I think it kind of helps some of those times where he'll get out there and he'll just start doing his own thing, or he'll decide he's gonna do something else, and I gotta run, like 50 yards to go get him. But I don't find it bad. I wanted to do it without the shock collar the first time with him, so I'm not like hitting him with that shock collar and screwing him up or something.
Yeah. And Fumbles is on here. This is a good point, I'm sure, because Clayton is using Water Dog, which is the same book that I used in training Izzy. And that if your dog's getting bored, you're doing too many. If your dog can only do 2 or 3 with excitement, don't do a 4th one. One of the most important things when you're training a dog is to end on a high enthusiasm level. You never want your dog to end on a negative, because then the last experience they have is with negative. So if you know your dog's bored on the 4th one, don't ever do the 4th one.
Yeah. I like to do also, if he starts getting bored, I'll throw him one for him to just go run to instead of sending him back, and then he kind of gets excited again. Yeah. And if I know he's not going to go do it, I'll stop, and I'll just end it there and I'll go throw him some in the water or something, or send him after some ducks that are in the water.
Yeah, I know we always ended them on what we call the fun bumper, where you just yell fun bumper and throw it, and they don't have to be steady or anything.
Yeah. I actually took that from you. I think you said something about it in one of your videos, how Izzy got excited if you say fun bumper. Yeah. And I was like, that's a good idea. I was like, because I make sure he knows when he's done. I'll be like, all right, we're all done or whatever, and then I'll say, you want a fun one? You want a fun one? And I'll go throw it, and he'll just go get it. So,
isn't it funny how intelligent they are? Because dogs absolutely know the difference between work and play.
They do.
They know when they're working, and they know when they're playing. And I used to be really uptight about like little kids playing with my dog and everything and getting bad habits. And I still think you need to be concerned about that when they're real little. But more than anything, I realized it's like your dog knows the difference of playing with some little kid and at work with you. And they'll act totally different between the two.
Yeah.
And Marshrat Outdoors, he is actually going to join us in August on the next live stream. He's Brandy's in Kuwait, and he is starting his channel. He and his wife are avid hunters out of Louisiana and Oklahoma. And so you guys are going to get a chance to get to know him too. He's a really cool guy. And he's saying, and this is a good question, have you tried any real birds or real ducks with your dog yet, other than those farm pond?
No. I'm waiting on a buddy to get me quail. He's waiting for the game warden to come inspect the stuff, and then he's going to give me some quail. And I know Drake said something about having an old mallard in his freezer that he wasn't going to get stuffed anymore.
Yep.
I'm laughing because my sister's on here now, and she said the aliens make you do that too. And I'm going to really briefly address this. On my video, which I know, Drake, you've read most of this, but there's a lot more. On my video where this duck attacks my daughter, there is this nut job lady on there that is going off about me being an abusive man. And she's down to literally saying that the only reason that humans hunt is because thousands of years ago, aliens came down and evil aliens taught humans how to hunt. And that's why we hunt now. I mean, this lady is a loon. So I had to address that real quick. So, Drake, if you haven't gone back, there's been a lot more. This lady's got – anyway, I'm going to stop because it's probably not that interesting for a lot of people. It is interesting reading if you've got about an hour to read all of her long rants. But anyway, moving on. Bumbles used to trap pigeons for practice, and he actually has some really funny stories about him and this guy going up into a barn in the dark with flashlights to try to trap pigeons at night. I'm going to have him tell those sometimes. But if you can't do that, if you go to like a game farm and just you can buy a couple pheasants.
Yeah. I've talked to a couple guys too, and like down closer to Wichita area, but about buying. Most of them have like I can't find any ducks like unless I have them mailed to me, and then it's like $100 for 2 ducks or something to have them shipped. It's not worth it.
I didn't do any live bird work with Izzy that I can recall, unless my dad remembers. I don't think I did. I think for the most part, and some people might disagree with this, but I don't want my dogs to be able to pass all of the super trials. And all I want my dogs to do is be steady, bring the duck back to me, be easy to hunt with, and maybe do a few hand signals. But I don't need to do them like professional grade. If they're bred in their system to do it, and they'll listen to you and they'll stay till you go, I feel like they're gonna be fine. I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's. I'm not planning on doing any field trials with him either. I don't want to travel 2 hours to go do one.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that you highlight your dog's journey in your videos, because I know I'll be interested in that. I'm not overly interested in watching people do dog work videos unless I'm actually training my dog, and then I watch a lot of them because I find them interesting. But seeing your dog chronicle through its first hunt and how it's doing that, to me, that's going to be very interesting. I would suggest don't hide any bad habits or things that your dog does, because it's really interesting.
Yeah, I can't, man. I'm almost more excited to get him his first retrieve than I am to go hunt. Like that's like I'm like I can't wait until I can get him on a bird. And he puts it all together what we've been doing over the past year. He's like, oh, this is fun. This is way better than getting yelled at and going and get dummies all the time.
Yeah, I hear you. And is this your first dog?
It's my first hunting dog. Yeah.
First hunting dog. Well, I'll tell you what. At least for me, and I've been told this is true from everyone I've talked to. Once you train that dog and have that bond with the dog and hunt with the dog, it makes the experience of duck hunting twice as enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, in a solo hunt with your dog is like, it's kind of weird, but it's such a bonding experience because a solo hunt has kind of a lonely feel to it, you know?
Yeah.
When you have your dog there with you, it's just this bonding with this animal that, I mean, it's so much fun. You're going to love it. So please chronicle that for us and chronicle the bad, because your dog's going to do some stupid stuff. Chronicle it. Don't hide it. Show it. I mean, look at my dad. He is actually gone to all these retriever trials and had these dogs certified, and he's got this dog now that's really high energy that he still can't keep steady. And we've talked about that and shown that, and it's just real, it's interesting.
Yeah. I did have a question for you real quick on it. Because I know you usually hunt with the dogs out of the layout, but if you don't have the layouts, what do you do? Like, do you guys just hunt off a bank, or what do you do with the dog? Like, if you're out in the water, where is she?
We use our layouts for them to sit in.
Okay.
We don't have them sit in water, so we always have those layouts with us.
Yeah, that's because I've been looking at like the marsh stools and seeing if he could, like, because I have one of those big sleds, but it's gonna be hard for him to get in and out of that big sled going for the duck. So
that will be a definite challenge. And
yeah,
I
looked at like card tables, like if I could like somehow modify a card table to sit out there with me.
I know for a fact there's videos out there about how to construct your own dog thing, but you've got to portage it too. So yeah. I would suggest just spending the money to get a good one. I bet you can find one that straps on you. Yeah,
I was looking at the Mow Marsh one is really nice, but again, it's like $200 or something like that. But it's the legs extend up to like a couple feet or whatever. So
yeah, but I absolutely do not let that dog stand in water and on its body cavity after September. I've seen guys do that. You just can't take a 50-degree day and make a dog immerse its body in water for hours.
Yeah.
Even like the bottom part. I mean, in October, if it's just like ankles, then I'll let Izzy stand in it like that, even though she's a total wimp about cold. nothing approaching her body cavity. And we almost always have those layout to use. And I will say on the bank too, that Izzy is not near as steady on the bank. Her early hunting was almost exclusively out of a layout boat. And so when we switched over to any kind of bank hunting, there wasn't that barrier in front of her. And to this day, if we're on a bank, she struggles some to be steady. But if we're in a boat, she's 100% steady. It's really interesting. And all those kinds of quirks are going to emerge with your dog. So again, just show them to us, because I think that stuff's interesting.
Oh yeah, I'll try. As long as the camera's on.
Red Roof Retriever did mention the hat. These did come in today, and I'm super excited about these. They are not on our website yet because they just came in today. But I'm going to get these up on the website. I didn't buy a ton of them. I bought a couple dozen. But I am going to get them up on the website to purchase, hopefully within the next few days, hopefully. My wife's kind of my photographer and website person, so when I say a deadline, I have to consult with her or I'll get in trouble. So all right, so let's move on. That was a great conversation though. Let's move on to Can Dan Do It. If you are watching and you don't know what Can Dan Do It is, let me give a little background. When I started hunting with Dan, I realized that he had all these grandiose stories, and he liked to kind of say, well, I bet I could do this, and I bet I could do that. And when we were out turkey hunting, he said, I think I can start a fire without matches. So I kind of teased him, and he got smoked, but he couldn't do it. But it was really funny. And then we had another time where he tried to make some kind of adobe mud brick wall or something, and he failed at that one too. And after those two times, I was like, you know what? I bet you that we can just put on some shows where we see if you can do random stuff. And so that's kind of how the whole Can Dan Do It series emerged. So I think every summer we're going to do somewhere between 2 and 4 or 5 Can Dan Do It episodes. And we've already filmed 3 of them, and we got 1 more in the works. And the first one we filmed was Can Dan Float the Missouri River, where we went up the Missouri River about 3 miles. Aiden and Dan and I did, camped out, and then the next day Dan had like 5 hours to build a raft, and he had to float back down to the boat ramp. We were seeing if he could do that. The second one we did was Can Dan Catch a Hummingbird in His Bare Hand. Then we did Can Dan Squirrel Hunt, and that one I won't give it away. And the final one we're going to do, well, before I talk about the final one, because I know Drake and Clayton, you've seen both of those, the first 2 episodes. You've seen the river and the hummingbird, right?
Yeah.
Any reactions to, now don't give away whether he could do it or not, but just any reactions you have about either of those videos, or thoughts, random thoughts?
Well, the first one, the Missouri River one, was absolutely hilarious. I was just smiling the whole time I watched that video. It was just so perfect. The
That's
whole
one of my
thing.
favorite all-time videos I think that I've ever put together. Honestly, I've watched that probably 15 times.
Yeah, I have some other comments, but I can't say them, so
Yeah,
I'll have to hold my tongue on those.
Yeah.
I laughed the whole time in pretty much both videos, so it's
Yeah,
a good thing.
I appreciate it. And that's one benefit definitely of being on Patreon if you guys are ever curious about it, because I release a lot of extra content on Patreon, and I release things way early. Number one, just because I'm so dying for people to see it now. And now I'm so ahead of the game with when I'm going to release videos that I've got this thing. It's like it's not going out for a month. I was like, please, someone watch it, please. So, yeah, Freak Baby. Freak Baby, I want to get you guys' comments on Freak Baby, too. Freak Baby is this little naked peen baby doll we found on the Missouri River who has kind of slowly become a mascot. And I'm not sure, honest opinion, if Freak Baby continues to make appearances throughout the duck hunting season, is it creepy or is it funny?
Creepy.
You see your wife in the background. Creepy. I thought it was hilarious. There's a few times when it was like, I guess, creepy, but at the same time, I mean, it was just funny.
What if we went and clothed Freak Baby? What if we have an episode where Dan, Nate, and I go clothes shopping for Freak Baby? Would that help?
No.
Dan Baby Shop.
If you want to see Freak Baby, make sure and tune in to Can Dan Do It. The first one's coming out. So I've got a frog gigging episode next Monday. And then the Monday after that is Can Dan Float the Mow. So in 2 weeks, Can Dan episodes are going to start. So make sure you guys tune in to see Freak Baby. Because I know I'm really obsessive when I like things. I would, if it was up to me, Freak Baby would come on every duck hunt. And I would just kind of, but I'm an elementary teacher, so, gotta be a little careful with what looks weird and freaky.
Just strap her to the front of the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Or just have her subtly peek in on it.
That's what I was thinking. Like when you're sitting there,
elf
like,
on the shelf.
Don't
while you're sitting there talking at night, just have it like.
Yeah. Okay, so the last Can Dan Do It episode, I am so excited about. I just can't even wait. We're gonna film this the 28th through the 30th, and we are going to put on the Kansas River for 2 nights, 3 days, and it's going to be 4 of us. And we're not taking any food with us at all. And so we're going to fish, and we can do squirrels if there's squirrels, frogs, that kind of thing. And I don't think we'll have a big problem gathering food. I don't think we will, but there's always that possibility. But the twist of it for Dan is he cannot eat any of the food the first day if he doesn't get a fire started. So he's got to get a fire started with no matches, all by himself, in order for him to eat. So, but we all get to eat plenty. So that ought to be pretty entertaining, I think, to see how he does on that one. But the main thing I'm really excited about with that, though, is because, we've all hunted and fished, but doing it in a way to where if we don't catch fish, we don't get to eat. To me, I'm really excited about how that psychologically plays on us, especially if we don't have success. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun. And then once we do catch them, I'm kind of hoping Dan can't get the fire started just so we can have him on video tormenting him without eating. I think that. So that'll be the last one.
That sounds fun.
All right, let's move on to the upcoming season. I've already been looking at the calendar and I like to lay out all my weekends of hunting season, just kind of rough draft of where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing. And it's coming fast. It's coming fast. Both you guys going to be doing the teal opener?
Oh, yeah.
Not sure where you have
I
it yet.
countdown on my phone today for it.
Yeah, I saw that. You posted in chat, what is it, like 50 ready to go.
59 days.
20-something hours or something.
So our season starts, our teal season starts the 9th of September. And then we've got 3 weekends of teal, 1 week off, and then I believe 3 weeks of early zone. And then basically you can hunt somewhere for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And doe season starts what, the first? Warmed up for those fast flying teal.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Aiden and I just planted sunflower seed out at our new Duck Lease yesterday, and we planted the millet and the sunflowers yesterday. So
what's the speaking of, what's the rule on, like, because you can't hunt over a food plot, right? So do you have to like mill it or turn it under before the season starts, or can you just leave the sunflowers?
No, you can't. So we plant millet, but we're not allowed. You can't cut the millet down. Like if you had a cornfield, you can't cut the cornfield and leave the corn laying around.
Okay.
So that's my understanding, is that you're just, once you cut it down and leave it, you're considered baiting.
Okay. So if it's still up, then you're good then.
That's my understanding. Hopefully my dad's still watching, because I know that he's been looking into the regulations. And there's one corner of our Duck Lease. There's one part of our Duck Lease that last year it's just natural vegetation that they grinded up and that wasn't even planted, that the teal got into like crazy. But since we're planting millet and sunflower, we're still going to check with wildlife and parks guys and make sure that we're legally able even to just grind up that natural vegetation, because the last thing we want is to get some kind of baiting thing.
Yeah.
So
with all the baiting deals that seem to have been popping up lately, everybody's guide, or what is it? Yeah, guides and stuff baiting deer and birds and hunting over bait.
Well, you know, and the thing is, especially like for us, is that now that we're putting all these videos on YouTube and everything, I mean, if we do something by accident and get a baiting charge, then the word just goes out that you're baiting, and all of a sudden you're a villain and a horrible guy. When, I mean, in a lot of these instances, guys are making honest mistakes, and it's not like they're setting out to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you go and get permission from a landowner and they don't know what the baiting laws are, I mean, you can get in trouble if you hunt that land. Like if they go through, they have corn and they brush hog the field or something for some reason, like insurance reasons, because if they collect insurance on damaged crop, they're not able to harvest that crop, if I remember right. So then they basically have to burn it or brush hog it. That puts down bait, and that field is basically unhuntable because it would be considered hunting over bait. So yeah, there's.
If they do that and then go through and turn the soil over, it's not though, right?
I'm not 100% sure on that side. And I know that there's like, when it comes to certain things, you have to wait like a week or 2 weeks before it's considered no longer baited and things like that. So I don't know if that is when that comes in. Like if you turn the field under once or twice, then you have to wait X number of days. I'm not 100% sure on that.
It's something we really need to get down, because I don't want to get in any kind of trouble just out of ignorance, you know.
Yeah.
Because we've got corn out there that's not going to be flooded. We've got corn right on the edge, and then sunflowers, and then millet. And the corn will be harvested, and that's okay, but you couldn't cut it down and just leave it. And like if we have a problem with millet, like if there's too much millet, we won't even be able to like chop up a hole, because unless we take the millet out. So I believe that's it, but we're going to have to work really hard to make sure that we understand, because this is totally new to us. So kind of the timeline of what's been going on is that this marsh grows in cattails naturally. So it's been so wet that we've been trying to get it dry enough to disc it and disc up the cattails, but we've only been able to disc about half of it's a 2-acre marsh. We've been able to disc about half of it just because of wetness. So we went ahead and finally planted what we could, And so it's probably half cattails, half millet. We planted that yesterday. And then if we don't get any rain, then we're probably going to, we've got a pump. We're probably going to pump a little water in just to soak it. And I guess the ideal growth range for millet's like 90 days. So if we plant it by the 10th of, or the 15th of July, then it should be fully seed-bearing millet early October. But this is so new to us, and honestly, I got a hold of the guys that leased this place last year, and they did not do very well. They had a really good teal season, but they did not do very well during regular duck season. But talking to them, I don't think they properly planted the millet. I don't think they had any seeded out millet, is my guess. So, but it's a real learning curve, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it would definitely be a fun thing to learn. And
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, Aiden and I spent about 2 hours yesterday just walking around this dry marsh, seeding millet, and it was really enjoyable because what you're doing is still duck related, you know. So it's like a lot more fun than seeding your lawn.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
That's what I was, because like my parents got a few acres up north, and I was thinking about, because there's not a whole lot of birds that get on there. I try and hunt dove on there, but there's not that much. It's just there's nothing there. It's all just overgrown and grass and trees. But I thought about planting some sunflowers out there, and was trying to look into what I have to do to not be illegal.
Yeah, just plant them and don't touch them.
Yeah, they grow crazy. So that whole field will probably be wildflowers in the next 5 years, or sunflowers.
Dove loves sunflowers, so you know, we'll see. If you guys are watching have any questions, go ahead and start putting them down now, and we'll stick more to the questions. Red Roof, I know you had a question about music that has been playing in my videos lately, but it went by fast. So if you're still watching, ask that again. That's a conversation I would certainly like to have. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this or not, but I'm having to change I know Drake knows about this, but I'm having to change the intro song for the duck videos, and I'm not very pleased about it. But after a lot of investigation, I realized that technically it was not, I didn't have copyright to run that song, even though that particular artist doesn't seem to police YouTube at all, and there's people making thousands of dollars on YouTube off his music. Well, I figured out what I thought was that you could, if YouTube didn't block you from doing it, I thought you could run the song. But it turns out that's not accurate at all. In fact, you can't even, technically speaking, you can't even run music on like a home video without someone's permission. Now, you're not going to probably get in trouble for that stuff. But anyway, so once I figured this out, I decided, you know, that I needed to move to a different song, just because I don't want to get 5 years down the road and have all these violations and everything. So I've had to kind of switch what I'm doing with some of the music we're using, which has been a real, once you have to go to royalty-free music, it's tough because, man, those songs suck, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a summer trauma because I love that song so much that and I'm kind of still pouting about having to go away from it. But I know that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit. So let's see. Will you hunt any other states? I know we hunt Kansas, Missouri, sometimes Nebraska, but outside of those 3 states, as long as I'm doing my teaching job, there's no way I can do anything other than that, just for time off purposes. You guys ought to get in Oklahoma some. What, do you guys ever do anything other than Kansas?
I want to.
Yeah.
My brother found a place down in Oklahoma his buddy owns or whatever, and they told us we could go down there. We just never did. Buying out-of-state hunting licenses and all that stuff gets expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely.
So many resources in Oklahoma there with Caw Lake and Eufaula. You guys ought to get down there some.
Yeah, we'll have to try it. I think we'll go. I don't know if we'll go to Oklahoma at some point, but I'm hoping we'll go out of state sometime this year. My buddy just brought it up. He's wanting to do something. He's getting married in the spring or sometime around there, and he wants to do sort of, I guess, like a bachelor party thing and go somewhere. and do either a hunting or a fishing trip. I would prefer to do a hunting trip rather than fishing. I mean, I like to fish, but I don't necessarily want to pay to fish unless it's something like king salmon or something crazy like that. Then I'd pay for it. But yeah, I mean, I would prefer to just go do it and do it all freelance, even if we're hunting. But at the same time, I don't want to travel somewhere far away and not see a single duck. So I don't know that we could take off enough time to be able to do it freelance. So it needed to be done and find where the ducks are at and things like that.
If you ever want to go south, I know that Fumbles has real intimate knowledge of Call Lake. He's been down there 3 or 4 times. So if you ever wanted to do that, we could really put you on exactly where to go, what to do. I've only been down there once, and we did really, really well. I know the hunters have kind of figured that lake out and are getting down there in the numbers. But if you ever do want to go to Caw, which for you I can't imagine is more than 45 minutes to an hour.
I think it's like an hour and a half. Is that right?
Yeah.
Greg? You know?
It's an excellent
something like that. Well, from where I hunt, a lot of the time it's probably like 30 minutes from there. Because that's right down by the Oklahoma border.
Yeah.
Let's see. Donald Gosshorn, how do you prepare to hunt a new public spot? Is there anything special you look for? Either you two want to talk about that?
Ducks.
Ducks.
I know for me,
ducks there.
When I started hunting a new area, it took me 3 full years of intense scouting to really know it inside and out. Now, that's an area that has a ton of little timber holes, so that would be a lot longer even than it would, some of the places. But just I would say look on Google Maps or Google Earth and make marks of where you want to scout and just start scouting, start looking for places that look ducky and just get out there and do it.
Yeah, Google Earth and make sure you go out there during the day where you can see where you're going. Don't scout at 2 o'clock in the morning right before the hunt.
Yeah.
That's all too common. Yeah, it definitely go out there during the day, too, like you said, because if you're looking at Google Maps, it looks completely different. It just depends on when the image was last taken. The water levels fluctuate, especially if you're talking about like rivers and lakes. They fluctuate so much throughout just 1 year. And if you go back and look historically, like on Google Earth, you can look at different years and stuff like that, and just see how much it changes. Like some of the areas we hunt, my buddies hunted back whenever there was droughts, and we went and hunted it this last year or the year before that, and it just to them looked completely different because they hadn't been out there since it had been a drought. So landscape was completely different. But as far as that, just things to look for is, are there ducks flying by or are there ducks landing there? If there's that,
in the spring, February and March are good times to get out, and even take your decoys with you in March. Go out there and throw some decoys around and just decoy ducks for fun, and find out where I have found that in March the ducks don't always do the same thing they do in the winter. There'll be some places in the March, and then I'll go back in the winter and I don't see them, but still it gives you an idea.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson, do you think you could kill ducks over cranberries? I doubt it. I would just say I would Google search, do ducks eat berries? I've never heard of a duck eating a berry. Have you guys?
I know they'll eat peanuts, acorns, things like that. I don't know about berries though.
Yeah, my guess would be no, but I don't know. Maybe, who knows? I mean, I'm sure you could find out with a good couple Google search on something like that. And you made a good point about the historical data on Google Earth. I think a lot of people don't realize that if you go under tools, you can go clear back to 1991 on the historical data. I know when I was scouting for our last Can Dan Do It, I was looking at exactly where we're going to be camping and places that would give us a good possibility of catching fish. And having those historical images to see water levels under certain conditions is so helpful.
Oh yeah, I mean I've even done some scouting and found ducks and geese using that information. just depending on when images are taken. Sometimes you can get lucky and they take a satellite image during hunting season or during winter, whenever ducks and geese are in the area. So I found a lot of different areas that hold ducks or geese year after year. So now for this year, I know I'm going to try and go to those areas out further away from areas that I know are more populated by hunters and try and find some more areas out there to hunt.
Yeah. And as much as I dislike this part of the state, because honestly, I really do, I like the plains much more. The benefit of this part of the state, and I think Clayton mentioned it at some point along the road, is it's easier to find hidden holes here than it is on the plains. Because once you get all around trees, you can have hidden holes. You get out on the plains, there's no hiding much of anything. I will say, though, where we go out west, though, we do have a few holes that are kind of hidden out there even. It's if you know an area inside and out, I think you can still find areas that are less traveled, not necessarily hidden, but less traveled.
Yeah, we did. There's a spot where we go. We call it a school bus hole, school bus pond, but it's not part of the wetland, but it's a walk-in, and we would go out there and like it's a walk because there's no trail or anything going back there. It's just a field and hills and stuff. But we went out there last year. We got out there late one time, and there was a guy parked like a mile down the road from where the hole is, and we park right there where the walk-in sign is and go back there. And the guy's back there on that pond. And I was like, why would you not park like where the entrance to the walk-in is?
Yeah, let other people know. That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, we got all the way back there. I was like, we start hearing decoys hit the water. I'm like, ah, man.
Is that not one of the worst feelings in the world?
It's horrible.
I'm so paranoid about that crap. It's like I'll think I see a flashlight. I see a flashlight at some farmhouse like 10 miles away. You know?
Yeah.
That's why I get out there like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I gotta beat everybody. I'll go check the other parking lots. I'm like, all right, I'm the only one out here. I got my pick of spots. And then I'll start flashing my strobe at anybody that starts walking down.
That's what I love about that Ode Pro KL52. It's just like, man, you can just nail people with that thing when you put it on the tight beam. All right, Red Roof Retriever's dying. He's going to hammer me on this one. Can you expect any FDH hat giveaways? Because I got these new hats. Here's the deal, Red Roof. Actually, old Danny Boy was a little bit of an investor on this purchase, so I would have to talk to him about that. I would probably be more likely to do a hat giveaway with the trucker hats because I'm the one that made the investment on those. But let me definitely think about that, how that might work. I think old Carl Snyder would be willing to buy one and do one. I think what he said. So yeah, I'm making him pay full price because it's like we're not making a huge margin of profit on these things, to say the least. And with the last hats I got, I ended up giving up so many away, I lost money. I was like, all right, well, listen, I don't need to make a bunch of money, but I don't want to lose money on this deal. So I got to be careful. Other questions. Do we target puddlers or diver ducks? I love shooting divers. I wish we had more divers to shoot. I love redheads, specifically, obviously, canvasback, which I've only shot 2 or 3 my whole life. But redheads and scop, which I haven't seen a scop for years. Probably actually 7 years. But yeah, I love divers. I really try to target the Drake divers because the females are just kind of not near as attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really target divers, target more puddlers, but if a diver comes in and it's a pretty one, then it's probably not going to leave as long as we don't miss it.
If I thought I could target divers and shoot a bunch of scop or redhead, or I would. And I think if there's one lake to do that on, it's probably Glen Elder, because I know they get really big numbers of divers out there, especially late season. If you were to invest in one of those sea layout boats, you know, those big saucer ones that you can get in deep water, I think at Glen Elder you could do well. But that's the only lake I know that traditionally gets high numbers of divers.
I know a sand pit here around Wichita that we used to have we used to have permission to like fish on it and stuff. And my brother recently found out he knows the guy that bought it and has the house on it now. But they hunt out there, and he says all they ever get is redhead. It's like, let me go out there.
Yeah, I love a good redhead drake is just beautiful. I love them. And I shoot typically a couple. It seems like there's more redheads around the last 5 to 10 years than there was previously. So we're shooting more than we used to.
Yeah, we see a lot of buffleheads.
You know, I've never shot a bufflehead. We don't see them hardly at all. We see a lot of the hooded mergansers, but I don't hardly ever see buffleheads.
Yeah, we shot 2 hooded mergansers last year, only because they came in and I had never shot one. So I took the drake, but probably won't shoot any more of them. But we have seen a lot of buffleheads. We shot at like 1 or 2 of them one time. I know for sure we shot at 1, and it was coming right in. I shot, and I hit it, or I missed, and Kyle hit it, or I don't remember what it was. One of us hit it, like right as it was hitting the water. That thing touched the water and dove under, and so took off out there, and it pops up 15 yards away, and we're about to take another shot at it, dives under again, and it just kept on diving until it was too far out there to go after it.
Yeah, anything that's affluent and swimming under the water, you got to kill quick when it's wounded.
Yep. I was chasing a teal around last year that was swimming under the water, but the water was clear enough that I could see it. And it was like going down through the weeds and stuff, and I could see like the bubbles from it. So I was chasing it. I finally got up on it, and I just dove my hand under the water and grabbed it by the neck.
Nice. I saw that with a redhead one time, swimming around and dodging around between the algae and stuff. It was really cool because they just like they're flying underwater. It's pretty cool to see. Anyone know how to fix a gritty magazine spring? Clean it. If it's gritty, clean it, I guess. That was from Speckbrook Trout Fisher. I wish we had trout here in Kansas. You guys ever take any trout fishing trips out to Colorado or anything?
They stock the park here in town with trout every trout season, the Sedgwick County Park.
You catch any out there?
I've never gone. I've had buddies that go out there and catch them, but
I think it's fly fishing only too.
I think some of the parks are fly fishing.
Colorado. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. All right, well, moving on. Donald Gosshorn says, do you guys eat all your ducks? What is your favorite to eat? I certainly intend to eat all my ducks. There are sometimes, if I'm being totally honest, in fact, I've got a couple bags right now in the freezer that I have a lot of freezer burn on them. And I'm normally really good at getting to all my ducks, but every now and then I don't, and they spoil in the freezer. When that happens, it really does not make me happy with myself at all. My favorite way to eat them is making them like Philly cheesesteaks. Just look up, Ducks Unlimited has a recipe to make them like Phillies, and they're fantastic like that. How about you guys? What are your favorite recipes?
That you got me on that one. That's good. I could like
you
have
made it
this year.
Yeah, you made it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I made it last year too. It was really good. I don't know if I used that same recipe, but I used something and it was really good.
Or jerky. I try and make at least 4 pounds of jerky, and then this year I barbecued some wrapped in bacon, which the bacon kind of like the bacon was nice because it left the fat on it and kind of helped the duck cook a little slower on the grill, but I wasn't a fan of the bacon around the duck.
I'm not either.
I like bacon, but the duck actually turned out really good.
Yeah, I don't like the bacon on the duck. Once I learned how to cook duck properly, then I want to taste the duck because duck tastes good if it's cooked well. And you put bacon around it, it just kind of tastes like bacon, which is good, but
yeah, I want to do someone in Jesse said steak duck where they leave the fat on the breast. I want to do that this year. Because most of the time Someone else asked if we just pluck them or if we breast them out. Usually we just breast them out, but I know a lot of people say that duck fat is really, really good whenever you cook it on the duck. And we have plucked a few ducks before and then put them on the smoker and done that, and they're really good. And I was actually going to make a video of that last year, and then you have to have really good ducks to pluck them, or else it doesn't always turn out very well. And that's pretty much what happened last year. I thought I had a good duck, and I got in there, and it was shot up a little bit more than I thought, and it just, yeah, it's hard to smoke something and cook it or keep it that medium rare, even though I'm smoking at like 300 degrees or something, to where it's still pretty hot. And I cut it open, it was medium rare, but there's just like blood cavities and stuff from where the pellets hit them, and it did not look appealing at all.
Yeah, I always breast my ducks out, but it's out of laziness because it's just so much quicker. I would really like to try some recipes. Ducks Alone has so many good recipes, and so many of them, if you watch the videos, they keep the skin on, and when they do it that way, it looks so delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like score the skin and stuff, and it like gets crispy and all that. Yeah, it looks so good. I also want to try and like grind it, like someone was just talking about, making it into like goose burgers or something like that, grinding it in with some other meat and like some fat and stuff like that. I'd really like to try that.
So I'm going to do rapid fire on some of these questions, and then we're going to finish it up. If you guys have any more questions, put them up there now, and I'll try to get to them. And Drake and Clayton, if you have anything to say, just interrupt me, because I'm gonna just try to hit these pretty quick. Speckbrook Trout Fisher says, Kent Fast Steel, what do I think about it? I used Kent quite a bit when I was using my Mossberg, and I liked it just fine. It seemed to, in fact, my best shooting season ever, I shot 53%. I was using Kent Fast Steel.
I think I'm using Kent this year.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great load. We're using Remington now, which is fine. But I have no problem with the Kent because it's cheap and works well. It's fast, too.
I used to use it on my 20. I shot more birds than my buddies with the 12, so I was happy.
Oh, I saw a couple other questions. I would say breast them or pluck them. I think most of us tend to breast them, but we like to pluck them. Also, there's been some question about different types of choke tubes. I always just use whatever the stock is. I've never bought any extra choke tubes. I know Dan kind of wants to mess around with.
On that, he asked about the was it the Pattern Master or whatever?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I bought my brother a Mossberg 835 and put a Pattern Master, not the expensive one, just the one with like the green. They're still expensive, but the one with the green like rubberized kind of tip on it. He has no sights on that shotgun. And I mean, it's accurate. We were shooting clays out to 40, 50 yards with that thing the other day. So with no sights on it. I mean, it's a shotgun, so it's kind of just look and shoot. It seems like a really good choke.
Do you like Beretta or Benelli? Well, I've got a Beretta Outlander A300, and honestly, I've had a few issues with it, and my shooting percentage has dropped the couple years that I've used it. I was shooting real well with my Mossberg, high 40s and even in the 50s, and then the 2 years now I've used the Beretta, I've been in the 30s. So I don't know. I need to check and make sure that I actually have the lengths adjusted right, but I love that semi-automatic, but I have had some issues with it, and I haven't shot that great with it. So the verdict's still out with me on that Outlander. If I shoot in the 30s again this season, I'm going to look to sell it and try something different, probably. Easy for me to blame it on the gun, I'm sure. But, I mean, I've got like 9 years of shooting percentage statistics to go with, so I know what I was shooting with my Mossberg. And 2 years in a row with that Beretta, I've sucked.
Find what fits you.
I use a Franke, so it's got Benelli internals in it.
Jesse, have you ever tried to shoot a duck with a bow like the Echo Boys? Golden Boy wants to do that, and I think Dan wants to do it too. But
can Dan
I'm
do
not into bowing, so I've struggled enough with a shotgun.
That's fun to watch though, or when they're hitting the pigeons and the doves
out of the air at full speed.
Yeah, it's insane.
They must fling 1,000 arrows. I mean, because they're probably hiding them. They're hitting 1 out of 5 on that. There's no way. No way.
Still, though, I don't think I could do it with 100 arrows, 1,000 arrows. My arm would be dead. Of course, I think they use like super light, like 20 pounds or something like that on the bow, or it's something super light on it. But still, that's crazy.
True Methods, do you ever go deer hunting? I've never been deer hunting. Fumblemitz has. He shot a huge trophy mule deer out in the western part of the state, and then the next year he accidentally shot Bambi. So he's got bookends of a monster and Bambi year back to back. He was looking through the grass the year after he shot that monster mule deer, which he's never scored that thing. But I need to take a picture of it because he's got the mount and put it on Instagram sometimes. It's massive. Tines just everywhere. And the next year he was hunting whitetails, and he was just trying to get a doe, and he was looking through the grass through his scope. He knew it was kind of a small one, but he thought it was just a nice doe. Dropped it, went over there, picked it up, and it barely didn't have spots on it. He just flipped it up over his back and walked out. You don't deer hunt, do you?
I've never been deer hunting.
I went with somebody one time, and we just like sat there, but I didn't actually hunt. We didn't shoot anything.
I get tired of cleaning ducks. The deer's big. It takes a long time.
Do you guys do partridge or pheasant? I would love to see some videos on that. Well, we don't really have partridge in the state. I grew up doing a lot of pheasant hunting, but once I started duck hunting, pheasants don't really interest me.
We'll walk the fields by the wetlands. There's pheasant out there, but I haven't been pheasant hunting for probably 4 years. Pheasant, quail. I love quail, though. Quail are delicious, but same as pheasant. I just haven't hunted them for a while.
Delicious and hard to shoot.
Yeah. Well, when they flush up in a covey of like 15, I just pump 4 rounds right in the middle of them all and hope I get one.
And normally you probably don't with that method.
No.
Silverado Man, do you have any birds mounted? I've got a ringneck, and I've got a prairie chicken, I've got a goose, but I'm not much into mounting anymore. That was from long ago. I'm not really into mountain birds anymore.
I have a pintail at the taxidermist now. It's been there for, I don't know, since the last day of duck season.
Is that one you shot on your last hunt video?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you got all the nostalgic about?
Yeah.
I was
crying over that bird.
If you want to see Clayton almost cry,
just fast forward to about 15 minutes into the video.
Yeah. But the hunt in its entirety, I've got enough attention span for YouTubers that I actually like that I'll sit through something like that. But that's how I am with my attention span. If I like Bob and Nay or you guys' channel, I'll sit there and pretty much watch the whole thing. If it's someone I don't know and I'm not like really into the channel, I'll put my cursor on the bottom and just kind of skip to things, and watch pieces of it.
Yeah. I got to get rid of that head mount though. This year I'm working on that.
Yeah, I agree. Peter wants to know if we'll show dove hunts. Peter, I have a dove hunt posted on Patreon. If you go over there for $1, you can watch it. If we ever go on dove hunts, I'll post it. But one this year, and I just made it an exclusive Patreon video. And it was we didn't shoot very many, but it was a really fun hunt.
I just got a message from a guy that today asked if I wanted to go opening day to dove hunt. And I know last year they got limits on dove, so I'll probably be recording it. He's in one of my videos and he's hilarious. If I have a good mic, but he's in one of my goose hunting field videos, and that dude cracks me up the whole time we're out there hunting.
Yeah, my thing is we're always scouting the weekend of dove hunting season. So that kind of throws us off for it, because the weekend before I'm always scouting and looking at areas and stuff. So true methods, we never shoot model ducks. I've never seen one, never seen a black duck either, which a black duck certainly is on my bucket list. If I could shoot any one duck this year, it'd be a black duck.
Hey, on the black ducks, I hear they're good decoys to put in your spread as confidence ducks or whatever. What do you think about that?
I would say if there's not black ducks around,
that's what I was. Everybody's like, yeah, put them in your decoy spread. They're good confidence decoys for the other ducks. I was like, we don't have black ducks, so
yeah, that would be my initial thought. Is that if they're not naturally been hanging out with them and seeing them, then how much memory does a duck have to go? How you have to say, okay, these ducks, how long has it been since they've seen a black duck? If they're coming down the central flyway, they may have never seen one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's
Gander had Avian X black ducks for like 50% off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I tend to I want to know these ducks have been around. So like during teal season, we don't typically use any mallards at all because these teals don't see mallards. They're not. I mean, the first teal that come through, and I mean they're pretty easy to decoy anyway. But if the ducks aren't in the area, we try not to use them.
Yeah.
Well, we better close it out. We've been going about an hour and 6 minutes. I would encourage you guys down in the description to check out Drake and Clayton's channel if you haven't seen their hunts, because both of them have really great content. I don't know about you. I've now started to watch more duck hunting videos again. I know the grind has started up, and so I'm certainly starting.
Duck hunting previous seasons.
Everyone's starting to gear up. So go to their channel, come to Freelance Duck Hunting, check out our videos. And like I said, if you go to patreon.com, I do have some videos over there that you guys probably have never seen for $1. You can view. There's just quite a bit of content over there. And these hats will be going soon. And we'll do this again next time. Marsh Rat Outdoors will probably join us. I think that will be in August. And Dan and I, sometime within the next week or so, are going to do a live stream and just talk about can Dan do it and his perceptions of that. So I really appreciate you guys joining us, and hopefully you'll keep stopping by and keep supporting us. So thanks a lot.